The Pittsburgh Steelers, the 25th team against stopping tight ends, but we want to know who we trust the most here in Week 18. Who's that guy for you, Marcus?
I'm looking at slinging Sammy Darnold, who's having a fantastic year for the Minnesota Vikings. And this comes as a guy who at the beginning of the year, not only were we not drafting Sam Darnold, we were downgrading guys around him. I mean, there was a legitimate, I don't know if I can take Justin Jefferson in the top 3 because Sam Darnold's his quarterback. And now he is laughing in our faces after putting up career highs. But on top of it, not only a good matchup against the Detroit Lions, who are beat up defensively and have given up a lot of yards through the air, but on top of it, just obviously an important one, right? These two teams playing for the 1 seed and home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs. I expect this to be a high-scoring game. And Sam Darnold, who's been red hot lately, I think he stays hot.
Yeah, from undrafted in fantasy to in the MVP conversation, tremendous year. A quarterback with a similar season this year, Baker Mayfield, and I believe in him. I think he should get some MVP love as well, at least be in the conversation, because the Bucs this week, they need to win to clinch the division, so we know Baker and all of the Bucs will be playing. That's what's most important in Week 18. Do the players have something to play for? And Baker, 14 touchdowns in his last 4 games, 302 straight, and the last time he played the Saints, 325, 4 touchdowns, 26 fantasy points. So yeah, I like Baker a lot this week.
And I know folks have seen the down-the-stretch season from Kyler Murray. We just had Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold at the top of this segment. I don't think we should give up on the career aspirations of Kyler Murray, and I definitely think he has an okay opportunity here against the 49ers because I know it hurts the Cardinals, but there's no James Conner this week. And in a couple games this year where Conner wasn't running the ball a lot, Kyler threw the ball around 35 times. The last game against the Niners, he had a passing touchdown and a rushing touchdown in the win. There's folks thinking about riding a Drew Lock hot streak right now. You could do a whole lot worse than playing Kyler Murray against the 49ers.
Yeah, you certainly can. And 1 week isn't the end-all be-all, which is why I think you go back to Devon Achane this week. I know he disappointed last week, didn't really play much in the second half, but prior to that, he was extremely consistent. And we know that he has one of the highest ceilings in the game. He didn't go off by his standards in the first matchup against the Jets, but he did score a touchdown and 19 fantasy points. And their defense hasn't been the same. And again, most importantly for this week, the Dolphins need to win to keep their playoff hopes alive. So they are going to leave it all out there on the field and give plenty of touches to their RB1.
Well, we spent a lot of time this preseason arguing between Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. I was on the Jalen Warren side of things. It didn't look great until recently. Over the last few weeks, started to get more snaps than Najee Harris, has back-to-back games with more than 90 scrimmage yards. He also has 5 or more targets in both of those games, going against a Bengals run defense, which has been soft pretty much all year long. It seems as though Mike Tomlin, Arthur Smith, and the Steelers have realized that Warren is the better, more productive of the 2 backs, and I like to see that he's going to get more opportunity coming up. And still, what is a pivotal game, has some interest and some meaning for the Steelers this weekend.
Speaking of running backs that started out this season not getting a lot of action, Rico Dowdle has had 21 touches a game since back in Week 12, scored 14 points in 3 of his last 5 games. Playing the Washington Commanders, who've given up the 2nd most yards per carry to running backs this season, they did keep Rico out of the end zone in the first matchup, got right around 11 points. Why not get in the paint, get you around 18 to 20 points here in Week 18? I don't mind a higher upside start in Rico Dowdle this week.
Yeah, I was wondering why it took the Cowboys so long to get him involved. Meanwhile, if you're looking at wide receivers, Drake London, who has been obviously the Falcons' #1 wide receiver all season long. He's at double-digit fantasy points in all but 3 games this year. And with Michael Penix at quarterback, London has by far been the most targeted player by Penix in the Falcons offense the last couple of weeks. 12 catches on 21 targets, going against a very favorable matchup in the Carolina defense. When these teams met back in Week 6, London, 6 catches for 74 yards and a touchdown on 10 targets. Mind you, that was with Kirk Cousins, but still believe in him with Michael Penix. Maybe believe in him even more now that he's getting some more accurate targets to work with against the Panthers this week.
Yeah, it's only a good thing for Drake London. And I said I like Baker Mayfield. Why not complete the stack with Mike Evans, who is the go-to guy in the red zone? Look at all, right there, boom. He is just going to moss people in the end zone repeatedly, as you continue to see. But he is 85 yards away from keeping that 1,000-yard streak alive. Baker has already said that means a lot to him. And then, like I said earlier, the Bucs need to play. But not only that, Marshawn Lattimore is not a Saint anymore, so that naturally increases the odds of Mike Evans actually finishing this game.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield doesn't want to. I mean, that's a list with Jameis and Ryan Fitzpatrick. It's like he doesn't want to be the quarterback to break the streak. So he wants Mike Evans to get 1,000 yards. I'll take this last wide receiver, and that's DJ Moore, because I believe the Bears will be throwing it a lot. Caleb needs 607 yards to get 4,000 on the season. I don't think he's going to break Norm Van Rocklin's record, but I do think there's a lot of opportunity to throw the ball to DJ Moore. He's got 7 or more targets in 7 straight games, and the 4th most red zone targets among wide receivers since week 3. That's for a team that's not in the red zone a whole lot. I think you can get some action from DJ Moore. So that wraps up wide receivers. Let's get some tight ends, guys.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Mark Andrews here. That early season slow start for him where we were worried about Isaiah Likely feels like a lifetime ago. Mark Andrews has a touchdown and double-digit fantasy points in 6 of his last 7 games. When he first played the Browns earlier this year, he scored a touchdown and gave you 15 fantasy points. The Ravens are big favorites in this one. And you know Lamar wants that MVP, so he might be throwing in the end zone a little bit more than usual this week.
I know it's been a frustrating year for Dalton Schultz and anybody who maybe rostered him and tried to rely on him, but sort of by default, he has moved up the pecking order for targets there. Obviously, Stephon Diggs has been out for a while. Now we don't have Tank Dell as well. Over the last couple of weeks, a 20% target share for Dalton Schultz in this offense. The Texans say they will play their starters in the season finale against the Titans. And hey, if you want to go sort of no stats, just vibes, over the last 6 games, Schultz has alternated between having 5 catches in a game and 2 catches in a game. Last week, he had 2 catches. So statistically speaking, he's due for 5 catches this week. That's just science.
Yeah, you're just watching the roulette wheel spin around. You're like, all right, now it's time for Dalton Schultz. And folks, speaking of trends, if you were bemoaning the stats of Sam Laporta earlier this season, he's had 15.4 points in the last 5 games, 4 touchdowns in the last 5 games. And blinking, you'll miss it, but he's a top 10 tight end right now, and it's not out of the realm of possibility that he catches Travis Kelce with Mahomes sitting with a couple of scores in the last 7 games. He's gotten 7 targets a game. So Sam Laporta making a bit of a bounce back. These are the guys that we are riding with in the final week of the 2024 regular season.